Hey, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to the videos of the paid request, this time from Marv B. Thank you so much for that. And for those interested in requesting any type of videos, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. So this is for Snake Eater 2, The Drud Buster, from 1991. From what I understand, when the first Snake Eater was made, before the film was done, there was talks of doing a second film. Because I guess they liked what they saw and they want to capitalize on it. But then I guess some kind of issues with the rights with the companies, I guess. Something made it delayed and it was released till like 1990, 1991. I don't know the details of those. But Lorenzo Lamas comes back as Soldier. The film also has Larry B. Scott, who was in Revenge of the Nerds. He was in Iron Eagle. Along with quite a few films. I like Larry B. Scott. I read up that apparently they wanted an Eddie Murphy type. So Larry B. Scott does the best he can. You have some other people like in this insane asylum. There's Harvey Atkin, who I recognize as Morty, the counselor with the mustache that has kind of the other counselors do all these pranks on, and Meatballs, the first Meatballs, because he's the guy who's a little bit more stuck up, and they like take his stuff and put it on the lake, do all these pranks on him. So, Morty from Meatballs, that's who. Okay. Also, Ron Palillo from Welcome Back, Kotter, Horshack. May he rest in peace. Now, the weird thing about so far with these Snake Eater movies, were these meant to be parodies? I swear to God, these films are meant to be parodies. And I had fun with this, like I did with the first film, despite its rough qualities, because of how weird they are. This might be one of the weirder, literally one of the weirder action franchises I've seen in a while. The first film is more like a hitsploitation. This one, this director, I wish they did not have the same director, because he does not know how to do action. I would say this: if you're going this looking for action, you probably be disappointed, because Lorenzo Lamas seems like a pretty good martial artist. He does not do a lot of martial arts in this movie, like barely any. There's not a whole lot of gunplay. There's a little bit at the beginning. There's a little bit at the finale. But again, I would say I enjoyed this in a weird way because of how weird it is. And I didn't grow up with Lorenzo Lamas. Never saw Renegade. Never seen an episode of Renegade. I had seen Bad Blood, which I remember liking. I saw that one with Don the Dragon Wilson, which Lorenzo Lamas had a big part. It was a virtual one. Not virtual combat. I forget what it was called, honestly. It was that memorable. But I've grown to like Lorenzo Lamas. I think as an actor, he give that wise-ass quality to him that works well for these type of action roles. He's definitely one of the better parts of this stuff. I mean, the very beginning, he's at this youth community service center where he's checking in on the kids who are doing their activities. Larry B. Scott, which I guess he was arrested before. He's doing community service. He's helping out. His name is Speedboat, which I thought was a weird name for a character. Like, why is he called Speedboat? I don't know if the movie ever mentions why he's called Speedboat, but he is. But they get to talking, and immediately some go into convulsions. They did some of the bad drugs. This is where the weirdness comes into play. Like, they're trying to resuscitate these kids, but the music playing is like choir music, like church choir music. I thought it was a weird choice, and it gets weirder as it goes along. So they find out that the drugs were cut with rat poison. The herpes god wants to know what's going to be done with it. And at points, Lorenzo Lamas, the other cop, put the blame on the kids, going, "Well, if they stopped using, then things would be fine." Which I guess he's got a point, but it's not a whole lot of times you see your hero saying, blaming the victims as well. Although I guess it's true. I mean, if you don't use, then they have no one to sell it to. But Lorenzo Lamas, he's pissed. He's going to kick some ass. He makes some grenade. Well, not yet. He makes grenades, but he goes to his place. He does put together a bomb, where it's like he puts it together, and there's a red light and it has this beep sound. He throws it and it explodes. He throws another grenade, it explodes. He does shoot some, but it's very cheap looking. Like the sound effects of the explosions, the hallway with the explosion down below, the hallway. I said, this guy who directs, action is not his forefront. Far from it. And that's why I wish they did not get the same director. Like if this was Cradar Batchley, or this was some of those people that go direct some of those PM Entertainment films, with the weird, unique aspects of the script in these Snake Eater films, and Lorenzo Lamas being competent as a star. Again, if you had that PM Entertainment or even Canon film backdrop, I like Snake Eater 1 and 2, but I think they really could have been some gems if the action was better. Because I do think the action is definitely a detriment in these movies. Because I'm looking up who the director is. This guy, I don't think he did a whole lot, which makes a whole lot of sense. Look that up real quick. But yeah, pretty much he gets found, he gets arrested, he's on trial. But again, this is where things go not where you think, okay, he's going to go to prison. It's going to be one of those action movies in a prison, like Blood Fist 3 or any other movies. Or he's going to be on suspension and we're going to be looked at, and there's going to be internal affairs going to look into this. No. His lawyer pleads for temporary insanity, and he's put into a mental asylum. We get these goofball characters like Ron Palillo, Horseshot from Welcome Back Kotter as Torch, who likes to torch things. And then again, you have Morty from Meatballs. And you have these weird things happening where, like, there's a stuttering knife guy who holds a doctor hostage, and our lead is able to kick his ass, which is how much grab the knife and punch him. But the weirdest part of all is, well, you're the new guy. We have this initiation. What initiation? Well, it's at night, and you gotta be quiet. But then everybody's on the rooftop of this facility. And it's wheelchair fighting. George Erschbamer is the name of this director, who did such classics as, I don't know if he directed all these, but Fatal Performance, Deadly Attraction, Driven Underground, Virtual Lies, Text to Kill, Aliens in the Wild Wild West, Fire Twister. And he had to do Snake Eater 1, 2, and 3. Bounty Hunters 1 and 2, I remember not minding, but I don't think it's really for the action. It's for Michael Dudikoff, his performance. But yeah, that guy is not much of an action director. And that's the worst part of this movie, sadly. But the script, like, I have to. I'm sorry. If the writer of these movies ever sees this, you had to write this as a parody. A wheelchair fight on a roof where a good chunk of the fight is this guy who has like a demon face, which I find out his name is Goliath. It's like a demon face. They're both attached to wheelchairs and they have to charge at each other and swing around and try to swing their legs on the wheelchair to fight. And like at one point, Lorenzo like grabs something and swings with the wheelchair to turn quickly. Never thought I'd have wheelchair foo in this. A wheelchair duel. Oh, I forget when he helps that lady psychiatrist who has the knife guy with the stutter. Lorenzo punches the guy. And the doctor, she literally says, the psychiatrist, if you keep this up, I'm not going to help you get better. The guy had a knife to your throat. And you're like, if you keep this up, I'm not going to help you get better. Fuck. That's what I'm like, what is this movie? What am I watching? Because he wins and he helps out this guy Goliath, who's hanging there, because he's a cop. He's a decent guy. And it does help him out later. He is going through these ventilation shafts because he won. So now they told him there's a way to escape at night, but you have to get back in the morning. These vent shafts. And of course it's a movie, so the ventilation shafts have to be bigger than a McDonald's. Although speaking of fast food, he's going through the vent shafts and there's a woman in there going by. What are you doing here? Oh, I'm here to see the preacher, who's another one of the inmates. I'm his birthday present. He teach me these hymns. I'm like, I'm sure he is. As he's humming on your vag. And not only that, when she passes by, there's another guy in there. A Domino's pizza guy. So I guess the inmates, like, they can hire... Okay, I like to know the Domino's pizza guy willing to go through a ventilation shaft to deliver their pizza. Who is that guy? Because that guy's committed. He needs to be not committed to the asylum, well, maybe, but I mean, he needs a raise. Because if you're a delivery, I don't know if anyone watches a delivery guy. Would you go into a ventilation shaft to deliver the pizza or food? No, if you're the type of guy that's going to go to a vent and go through it to deliver pizza, you deserve a good tip and a raise. When I saw that Domino's pizza guy, I'm like, this is a parody. This has to be a goddamn parody. It has to be. So he escapes, and then the next thing we know, Larry B. Scott, finally back in the film, he looks at his car, but then Soldier grabs him. What are you doing? So this guy comes in, triggers his trap where this pole swings in and impales the guy. Now granted, that pole could miss, or you would see it coming, you duck. So it's not the most practical trap, but it's a trap and it worked. It's great to see a trap because I like the traps he had in the first film. I wish he had more traps. Just I wish that was more of an ongoing thing, him doing these traps. So then those two don't work and clean up the scum of being the drug busters. So like they did this van that is you dump, we pump van that has a little person mannequin plunging a toilet on the top of the van. This so that they could exchange fire extinguishers where these bad guys are at. So then they give him one. It's leaked in. They set the fire and it burns up, and it burns up the lab, I guess. Larry B. Scott, he's trying to do his wannabe Eddie Murphy impression. He loves saying the line, well, does shit stink? As in, of course. Like Michael Keaton and Gun-Ho would say, is a frog's ass watertight? And this is Larry B. Scott, does shit stink? Because he says this like 2 or 3 times. Or there's another one where they pretend to be health inspectors of this restaurant so that Lorenzo Lamas could put this bomb in this toilet while Larry B. Scott puts this laxative in the food. So this guy can eat the food, go to the toilet, and when he flushes, it explodes and kills the guy on the toilet. What they needed was the extra of the guy's body flying with his pants undone. That's what it should have been. Like, they see a window, it blows up, but it should have been his body goes through, and you see that his pants are undone, and he's on fire, and they needed that extra bit. So, spoilers, I am spoiling it, but long story short, Larry B. Scott has inside information, but doesn't want this lady to keep going. You find out that lady he has 2 sisters. One's in the coma, this hooker is his other sister. Lorenzo Lamas doesn't know that's his sister, so he apologizes. Listen, I'm sorry, I didn't know. Because he wanted her to keep going. Larry B. Scott gets taken hostage. Lorenzo Lamas tries to get there, but he's found out his escape route out of this facility is found out. So he's put into a padded room. That guy Goliath, I just wants to repay him for saving his life. You help Goliath, Goliath help you. I mean, his face looks like a demon. I don't know how else to put it. Helps him out. Goes in to help Larry B. Scott. And the action scene is not good. There's a point like he shoots a couple people, he throws a bomb or 2. He shoots one guy, like here, and there's no squibs on the guy. Like he turns and like shoots. Guy goes, ugh, but there's no squibs, there's no blood. So again, he throws a bomb that kills 2, he shoots like 2 or 3 people. Apparently they couldn't afford squibs in this movie. There's this guy who's hidden Larry B. Scott. Lorenzo Lamas fights him. The one time he shows a tiny bit of martial arts, he electrocutes the guy. The rest of the bad guys have fortified themselves. So thankfully there's a vent where our leads dump the poison that they use to cut the drugs and use a fan. And there's so many things in this movie I never saw before. I never saw a wheelchair duel fight before. There's not a whole lot of times I've seen a Domino's pizza guy in a ventilation shaft delivering pizza. Not a whole lot of movies where a bad guy gets blown up in a bathroom because he was given too much laxative and a bomb was put in the toilet. There's a bomb in Toilet Lethal Weapon too, but, this is different. Or your bad guys being killed by being trapped in a room and poison cocaine kills them. I'll tell you one thing, there's at least some, I just give it points for originality. Also, it does this weird thing for transitions of scenes. At times it's like a checkerboard transition. Imagine as a scene, it's like a checkerboard pops up to transition. Like, that's what you did back in school for your, PowerPoint presentations. Why for a full-length feature you do a checkerboard transition? They did that a couple times in this. I thought it was the videos, the footage, like it was a VHS. I don't know if this is I'm assuming this is on DVD, but I thought it was screwing up the version I was watching. Oh, another thing is before they kill those people, there's another guy who they put on fire. They kind of kicked him down the stairs, but the guy kind of, it's like the guy didn't want to take the tumble down the stairs while he was on fire. So he's like kind of tumbling. And when he gets on the bottom, he kind of like rubs his ass, like scoots the rest of the way. It's like, I don't really want to take this tumble down the stairs while I'm on fire. And then at the bottom's like, okay, let me scoop my ass out. This is a bad movie. It is. It's a bad movie, but I will say I was entertained. Now, if you don't look at it that way, I can understand why you don't like it. The action scenes, there's barely any. There's not a whole lot. The bad guys, they're kind of forgettable. The bad guys in the first Snake Eater, they're so over the top. They're entertaining, and that's the thing. There are times where over the top, it's like anything. Some over the top can be very fun to watch. Some over the top could be really irritating and annoying. It's like everything else. The over the top in Snake Eater 1 was more entertaining than annoying. Here, the bad guys are pretty forgettable. Like at times you don't know where this movie's going. Like when it gets to the mental asylum part of the movie, like what is this movie? I thought it was about drug busting. Now it's like a weird version of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. I would say I do think the first Snake Eater is better of a movie, but I will say it was interesting to watch. But man, this director, he just does not have a handle on action. I think that would have helped a lot. Some of the scenes that seem a bit wanty, like the again checkerboard transitions and other stuff. The action scenes do come off as cheap. I keep saying that, but I like Lorenzo Lamas. I liked Larry B. Scott. I liked them as actors. Ron Palillo, may rest in peace. I remember him in Friday 30 Part 6. Jason punches his heart out at the beginning of that film. It's, like I said, it's goofy weirdness didn't make it boring for me. So at least I was entertained somewhat by it. So I guess technically there's four films, but there's one more with Lorenzo Lamas, Part 3. I guess Bam Bam Bigelow's in it as well. And then there's a fourth film, but Lorenzo Lamas isn't in it. Someone else is in it. But, yeah, there you go. But yeah, that's Snake Eater 2, The Drug Buster. This seems like films Verder Syndrome would release. At least like the first three films. Maybe one day they will. You know what? I mean, I haven't seen the third one, but if they did with like a lot of features, Lorenzo Lamas interview, documentaries, maybe I'd pick these up. You know, if he did it that way, like the that Angel set, which had the three or so movies in there. Oh, who knows? With that said, thanks for watching. Uh, we'll see you guys later. Bye bye.